What if I told you that the Bible lays out a universal order for health, leadership, and longevity that first responders unknowingly break the moment they become first responders? Let me explain. You see, in Genesis 1:28, it says, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, then have dominion." That's not poetry. That's an order of operations. And the order matters. When the Bible says be fruitful, it's talking about what comes out of you, your energy, your presence at home, and your output at work. Fruitfulness is your output. But here's the part most people miss. The kind of fruit you produce, healthy or unhealthy, is determined by what you consume mentally, what you consume physically, and what you consume spiritually. If the inputs are constant stress, no sleep, trauma without processing, and an identity tied only to the job, the fruit will reflect that every single time. That doesn't make you weak, that just makes you human. Good fruit requires the right seed and the right environment. You see, the seed is the idea that you live from, the mindset, the belief system, because your beliefs control your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your reality. And the environment is what you feed yourself daily. If the seed and inputs are unhealthy, fruitfulness declines. And when fruitfulness breaks down, everything you multiply gets worse. That's why the next part of the verse is multiply, because multiplication does not fix your problems, it amplifies them. More stress will multiply burnout. Harder training multiplies injury, and more caffeine multiplies anxiety. Whatever you are, healthy or unhealthy, gets multiplied. And that's just a universal truth. Fruitfulness, multiplication, and then something that first responders rarely do: replenishment. And I'm not blaming you. You were never taught that you need to replenish what this job takes from you. Replenishment means restore what's depleted. And for first responders, replenishment looks like optimizing your sleep off shift because we can't control it on shift. It looks like daily breath work to downregulate a nervous system that's stuck in fight or flight. And it looks like seeing yourself as a whole human being instead of becoming the job. You do the job, you aren't the job. At the end of the day, that uniform is going to be filled by somebody else. So you can't put the uniform first. You have to put what's inside the uniform before the job. Because if you don't replenish, fruitfulness disappears and everything you multiply becomes destructive. And it's not just about replenishing the good stuff. You also have to subdue the negative habits. And subdue does not mean punish yourself. It does not mean grind harder, and it does not mean ignore pain. Subdue means bring under control. And for first responders, that means controlling our negative outputs: unchecked stress, constant adrenaline, excess caffeine, negative self-talk, endless exposure without processing, and training that breaks you down instead of building you up. You can't control the chaos of the job. That's why it's imperative that you control what goes into your mind, body, and soul. And if you have the right mindset, you multiply those good habits, replenish what you deplete, and subdue your negative habits, then and only then will you have dominion. Dominion is leadership. Dominion is control. Dominion is authority over yourself, and dominion is health and longevity. But dominion can only come when you lay the foundation before it. If you skip fruitfulness, replenishment, and subduing negative habit, then dominion turns into burnout, disease, and broken families. The problem is the job teaches us to start at dominion, control the scene, push through, handle your emotions. But the Bible teaches first responders the right order. Be fruitful, multiply what is healthy, replenish what the job takes, subdue your negative inputs, then lead. Restore the order and resilience follow. And look, I'm not saying the Bible is a health book. The Bible is primarily a spiritual text, but it also contains principles about stewardship, order, discipline, rest, and restoration that apply directly to the human body. The same way it teaches how to be careful for the soul, it offers wisdom for caring for the body that we've been entrusted with. Think about the verse where it talks about God breathing life into man. In Genesis, life begins with breath. Physiologically, that aligns with how the body works. Breath regulates the nervous system, heart rate, stress response, and hormone balance. Breath work isn't mystical, it's using the body's built-in system to signal safety and recovery. And breath work is not just a spiritual practice, it's physiological. It affects oxygenation, carbon dioxide balance, vagus nerve activation, and nervous system regulation. The spiritual metaphor simply reinforces how foundational breathwork is to life. So instead of looking at fruitfulness as something that just relates to output, look at it as what comes out of your mind, body, and spirit, your relationships. The fruit is determined by what you put in. If your inputs are just stress, poor sleep, and trauma, then the fruit you produce will reflect that. And remember, your fruit, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, will be multiplied. And because we don't control what happens when we're on shift, it's so vital to control what we do off shift, because the job constantly depletes us. us from sleep disruption, adrenaline surges, trauma exposure, and toxic environments without intentionally doing things like optimizing our sleep, breath work, therapy, and recovery, the body stays in survival mode, bad fruit, and health declines, multiplication. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to be religious to benefit from these principles. Order, rest, stewardship, and nervous system regulation are physiological realities. The biblical framework simply provides a metaphor that can help you understand the sequence, but nothing overcomes our identity. First responders are trained to live in hypervigilance, control, and sacrifice. That identity works on scene, but becomes destructive off duty if it's never separated or regulated. So the next time you read Genesis 1:28, I want you to think about how this order matters. Fruitfulness before multiplication, replenishment before dominion, and breath before movement. When you restore the order, the body and the mind respond accordingly. I'll see you on the next one.